Man, oh man, welcome back to Hear Me Out. Just a thought. I was minding my business and preparing the next two episodes about Jehovah's Witnesses for you. I'm on that. When, of course, I took a break, went on the internet, and saw this thing that's going very, very viral. As always, when something goes viral, it speaks to something about us and about truth and about wisdom. So imagine this, right? Imagine that you are at a concert, a Coldplay concert, the lights are low, the crowd is vibing, and someone captures a short clip of a couple, a lovely couple being just a little, close and comfortable. And the problem is that the couple were not just, random concert goers. They were two married people that were not married to each other. And they also happened to be the CEO of a company and his head of HR. Yikes. So I want to talk about how something very small, like a little moment, like a minute maybe of blurry footage, can go viral and how everything else can unravel following that. So today we're talking about how hidden things just eventually come to light. You know what? Hear me out because it's just a thought. Okay, so in case you missed it, I don't think you did because it is everywhere. People are sending it to me. People are probably sending it to you, and it's making the, news round. So yesterday was the 16th. There was a Coldplay concert apparently, and somebody caught what looked like a very intimate moment, right, between the CEO of a major, tech company and their head of HR. The video really, really did explode online. Everybody is talking about it. And of course, because people do what they do, they dig in, they find information. Both people that are involved in this are reportedly married to other people. Now, I am not bringing this to you just to gossip about it. And I'm not just telling you what the internet is saying because you already have access to it. I like to talk about what we can learn from situations like these. So if you are new here, my name is Gigi. This is kind of what I do on Hear Me Out. Just a thought. I like to look at culture and faith and trends and just see how we can all grow from what's going viral. And so for this sake, if you are interested in more things like these, not the gossip, not the shock value, but what you can learn and apply in your own life, you know what? Hit subscribe so we can become family. Okay, so as we speak right now, the internet, what do you call those, like sleuths? The internet detectives are digging. People are dragging them. Insiders have been confirming what many have suspected, that it was not innocent. They were actually having an affair. And if we pause a little bit, because I always like to pause and think, okay, this is viral. Tomorrow, this story will be forgotten. But again, what do we learn? What can we apply immediately? Because here's what I think we can easily forget. And this is why I'm making this episode so quick, so fast, right when it's hot. It's that behind every viral thing, right? Behind every viral scandal, there are real people. They're the real spouses of those people. They're real children. If the story is true, there are real coworkers. There's real pain. And as people call it tea, I know I'm a little too old to be calling things tea, but I am calling it tea. So as people are calling this tea, it's not just tea, right? It is tragedy, and it is really, really unfortunate. And so, yes, we can we can say, hey, they brought this to themselves. They just should have stayed, put or whatever, but it is tragedy nonetheless. And so I want to talk about how nothing is ever new under the sun. We just need to decide at some point. There's only so many things that you need to see to recognize some patterns and to make a decision for yourself in your life. And I think we can all kind of pledge to do this together at some point. We'll get there, guys. And I think, workplace stuff, workplace affairs are not new. but they're always, always, always costly. You never or rarely hear of people that start their romantic relationships as an affair at work and they just ends well. There's always a cost somewhere. And if we're honest, we need to realize that the workplace is somewhere that it's a fertile ground for temptation. You are around each other all day. You talk all day. You have deadlines. You have some people have late nights and shared stress and adrenaline, and you're looking good, and you might not looking like that at home because you're at home. There are just if there is nobody who's conscious and disciplined, if there is, might I say, add to this because you know what this channel is, if there's no fear of anything, if there's no fear of God, if there's no fear of losing your family, if you have no real guardrails, things will cross the line fast. And it's more complicated than people think, right? You don't wake up one day and decide, I'm going to ruin my family and my career. You just do the thing because you're kind of in the world and you're not guarded enough. And so this is adultery, if the story is true. It's not a flirt, it's not a fling, it's not a vibe, it's not a hug. It is a betrayal to the other people, and it's a betrayal to themselves. I want to talk about that. It is a betrayal to oneself to let yourself do that kind of things. And we are not exempt from making these mistakes or, making the wrong decisions. But if we are aware and talk about it and catch it and decide, it is a decision, people. If we all decide, I need to be better, we will then learn what are the steps and behaviors to not put ourselves in these kinds of situations. And I'm speaking as somebody who is married, who has a full-time job, who has children, who cares about what I do with my time, what I do, who I do it with. And so it's a decision. It's a decision every single day to remain committed to, of course, your spouse, your kids, but also to have ethics in the way that you work, and also to be God-fearing, because to fear God is not just, it does not mean to be afraid of God. It just means to know that there are principles that you should apply to your life, because something, someone better than you, bigger than you, and your creator of the creator of the universe has set in place for you. And you should respect those things, because whatever else outside of those principles that you decide to get into, they will lead you nowhere. They will lead us nowhere. And so all of this, it always just leaves a mess. I think even if nobody finds out right away, which is kind of the high of the thing, people that are having affairs or being unfaithful in general, it could go for a while before somebody finds out and they feel secure and they become more bold, shameless, and it rots something inside anyways, right? As long as you're doing that, even if nobody finds out, it does rot something inside of us. And so I want to bring it home, as I always do. You already know I'm about to pull out the book of Proverbs, because what else do I do all day here? The book of Proverbs teaches something that is so simple, but that I just feel like needs to be said out loud here, which is that he who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. So it's not about, like we're seeing online, oh, the wife, oh, the husband, oh, they must be so devastated, the kids, the children, the colleagues, everybody else around. But you destroy yourself, right? We destroy ourselves when we let ourselves get into weird things like those, that deceitful things like those. When we let ourselves get to a place where we're okay committing adultery, and it could be adultery, but it could be any other sin. When we get to a place where we are so comfortable, we are destroying ourselves, right? And so I think we just have to, at some point, make a decision. Like I was saying, these people, trust me, the story will be forgotten in a matter of days. There'll be another scandal. You'll see other things. But we need to just decide at some point, hey, I've seen what the world has to offer. The workplace seems to be very toxic. Maybe where you work, things are toxic. Maybe people drink too much. Maybe people party too much. Maybe people sleep with other people they're not married to. Maybe there's, substance use, whatever it may be. What boundaries do you have in place at work or in your friendships for you not to destroy yourself? What boundaries can we put in? I was actually joking about this a couple of days ago because, funny enough, there's somebody in a high position at my workplace that we had gotten let go because of behaviors that kind of resemble what just happened here. And I was laughing because I had to make the decision not too long ago. I think it was a year ago that I decided I need to not show up at like social events at my workplace. Not because I can't contain myself, not because I don't know how to behave. I really, really do know how to behave, actually, regardless of where I am at. But I realized that the work situation that I was in, or the work culture that I had been in, for the most part, was not where I wanted to be. It just, my boundary became from, all right, I'll go, but I won't participate, to I'll go, but I'll maybe like stay not too long, to I just won't go because nothing good happens ever in these settings. Whereas when we're actually working, things are good, right? People are doing their job, but it's just for me, for myself. I didn't need to publicize this. I didn't need to tell anybody, hey, I'm no longer showing up. But I needed to set that boundary for myself because it was starting to rot something in me, as I'm saying. I was starting to notice that I was like, well, these people are just weird, or, oh, well, these people are just not God-fearing, or, oh, well, this is just a culture. And I kind of became very much like unfazed by it as long as I didn't participate. But then as I grew wiser, and as I was more affirmed in that company, I was like, no, not really. I don't even want to be here because if you look at the video that we just saw, and maybe you missed this, if you did miss it, you'll probably see it soon on your feed. The work people, right, the colleagues or whoever was around this couple that just got caught, they're laughing. It's very casual, like, yep, we have known about this. And so even if the person who's next to the couple, are they a couple? I don't know. Yeah, the couple, the adulterers, even if they're not doing anything wrong, that means they knew, that means they're kind of participating in that. Trust me, when they go home, if they have significant others, if they have children or friends, they're going to be questioning them too. They're going to be asking, why were you there? Why are you okay with this? Well, what have you been up to? How is this fine with you? It creates more problems than just to the very people that it happens to. And so I had to decide for myself. I'm not saying this is what you should do, of course. We are all adults. We can choose what our boundaries are. But I decided I don't need to be here. When I think about it, I don't actually need to be here because it's my boundary and I'm just not into all of that. And so we have to ask ourselves, okay, what boundaries do we have to put in place for ourselves in our, workplace? And then also, are there any people in our lives that we may be kind of playing fire with, that are outside of our spouses? And are we getting really, really comfortable too with that and thinking that we're slick and thinking that we'll never get caught? Have we done things that you would call out if somebody else did it, but you're kind of okay with yourself doing it? Basically, are we in a slippery slope? A slippery slope where we're allowing ourselves to do things or accept things from us and others that we know are not okay. And so that's the deception of it all, because we always think, you know what, no one will find out, right? Adultery, like many other sins, is built on like the false sense of control, right? It's a lie. Oh, it's just between us. It's harmless. Nobody will find out. People definitely found out quick. Maybe we're special. We're meant for each other. My wife doesn't understand me. Oh, my husband doesn't understand me. But again, it's all a lie, because when it comes time, when all those things come to light very quickly, it rarely does it happen that an affair gets to be revealed and like stick. Just research on that. It just does not stick. And so again, I like to bring scripture into it, because there's something that's been said to us 2000 plus years ago that we still need to like remember, which is, I will bring, it to scripture again, this time in Luke 8. And on verse 17, we learn that there's nothing hidden that will not be disclosed. There's nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out in the open. We need to realize that whether it's through a camera, phone, or a concert camera, or a coworker's gut feeling, or a friends finding out your spouse, whatever, truth just leaks. Sooner or later, truth leaks. And by the time it leaks, if we've been kind of playing dirty, if we've been letting ourselves become, morally corrupt over time, we will get more comfortable, and we will think that we won't get found out, or that we won't rot inside, or that we will not become even ugly to ourselves. But truth always leaks. And when it does, it doesn't just ruin that moment or the most recent moments. It ruins years, because it goes way backward. It ruins people and relationships. And you, like I said, it ruins you and me. And so I want to kind of talk about, before I let you go, what I was thinking when I was watching this, like a clip, I guess, and people commenting on it, is what we talked about not too long ago. It is what we talked about when we talked about conforming to the world versus just walking in wisdom. It is the very series that I've been making about God versus the world, where we kind of see what culture teaches versus the wisdom of God. And in our culture, I think, I may be wrong, let me know what you think. When I look online, when I look around, when I just, again, from the experiences I've had in corporate Canada, I was going to say corporate America but it's corporate Canada, and from interacting with people from around the world in a corporate environment, it's kind of almost normalized at this point, and people find it, somewhat funny, like low-key funny. It's become normalized almost, and people do not believe anymore. Like, nobody believes anymore in monogamy, in staying faithful, in loving the other person. And I don't care necessarily about the love between two people, because you can love somebody Monday and you cannot love them Tuesday. That does not matter to me specifically. I'm not saying that I don't love, because I do. I'm not saying that my husband or the couples that are around me don't love, because we absolutely do. But I think as you're walking in wisdom and as you're growing, you realize, hey, I also just want to be a good person. I also just want to be good to the other person and to myself and in front of God. It no longer depends on if you love who you're with. It starts becoming about, hey, I love God and I love me and I love to be a good person. And so whether or not you're happy at home, whether or not your coworker looks really good in that suit or in that skirt, whether or not, you were intoxicated, whether or not you've been just trying to find your life again, blah, blah, and blah, it becomes about the decision you make for yourself. And so although it may be normalized, although there might be 17 reasons, although there's like a stressful history from home, at the end of the day, we need to learn that it's not good, and we just need to turn away from it. Now, nobody said it's easy. Like I said, maybe that man looks good in a suit. Maybe your spouse at home is driving you nuts. Maybe you're tired. Maybe whatever the insert reason, right? But the thing that I want to bring out here, God doesn't teach, hey, don't commit adultery because it's a buzzkill or like it's not nice. God teaches that it's because, of course, he's a father who wants to protect his children from soul-shattering pain. It's about us, like we, you, me, not the other people. And I'll add in Romans 12, because we've talked about Romans 12 maybe last week. Is it last week or this week? Anyways, to not conform to the pattern of this world. again, but to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And so even though the word teaches and the culture teaches and maybe the workplace teaches, hey, it's good, it feels good, go for it, nobody will know, it's funny, everybody's doing it, who even whatever the culture is telling you, everybody else is not you, and everybody else are just the people that fell into the pattern of this world, if they're telling you that and allowing that. But in these examples, like the CEO, the HR lead, their colleagues, their friends who are just there chilling, their choices did not stay private, and now everybody's watching. And some people are watching, like me, hopefully like you, not to just gossip because it's gossip material, but to learn, right? To learn. And so let's flip the script together. If you're willing, I'm willing. When we hear stories like these, let's decide what we need to do. Let's decide to keep it as a learning moment. And we can mock and judge, but we're not better than them, guys. I always keep saying to myself, Gigi, you're not better than anybody of these people. Maybe they're cheating, but maybe you're like not being disciplined in how you treat your body, or how you work, or how you treat your spouse and children and friends, or your contribution to the community. At the end of the day, if you know better, do better. That's what I tell myself. It ain't always easy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's easy. But it is, I always have that reflex now of saying, let's just talk about this and see what we can learn. And let's examine our own hearts, not according to culture, but according to what God teaches. And so if you're somebody, of course, who's landing here, you're like, oh, I thought we were going to talk about the gossip behind this viral moment. Now this random stranger on the internet is talking to me about God. I'm not into all of that. I welcome you here. First of all, I challenge you to try it God's way. If you've never opened a Bible a day in your life, this could be the day that you start. Maybe you're tired of pretending that culture teaches you good things. Maybe you're tired of pretending you're happy and healthy and fulfilled, and you're kind of looking for something more meaningful. My agenda is not hidden on this channel. I want everybody to know God. I want everybody to understand that He's our creator and He's got our back, literally. So he just knows better, is what I'm trying to say. And when we test out His principles in real life, like on this planet we're on, in this culture we're on, things shift, things change. So that's why I always use these moments that are random to meet new people that might be following the moment and finding God instead, because that's how I got pulled into all of this, and I would not go back. So yes, the internet has been interneting, and of course where there's tea, is it bizarre that I say the word tea? Like, is it weird that I say tea? Anyways, where there's tea, I think there is like truth also. Ooh, I should say that often. Where there's tea, there's timeless truth. Yeah, I'm going to use that. Where there's tea, there's timeless truth. Anyways, use the truth and forget the tea. And of course, if you liked this and it kind of brought wisdom your way, give me a thumbs up to let me know it was useful. Good luck to everybody involved in here and their families, especially the kids. Maybe we can all use it as a learning moment and move on as better people. I'll see you next time.